me tonight is Grant the Law. He is back with us one more time. He did join us to be translator for Terence Opperman. Not that he necessarily needs one, but just in case the Law was going to be on the bench and ready to pounce at any opportunity to partake in the discussion with Terence Opperman. But Terence is experiencing some technical difficulties right now, and we hope to have all of those sorted out and Terence with you live on Thursday night. There are no double biceps to share here tonight because Hollywood Matt Connolly he's got a real job. He can't be with us each and every time. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're just going to have to lower your expectations a little bit and have to put up with me for a little bit longer. Ladies and gentlemen, the Law has kindly joined us, and he's going to expand upon the discussion that we had just the other night with respect to marketing around arm wrestling and maybe some of the pitfalls that arm wrestling clubs and organizations have fallen into. Also, in terms of what makes the sport highly marketable and watchable, and the various formats that are out there at the moment and what's being used successfully and maybe what's not being used so successfully. And also, he's going to touch on how you can leverage both new and established media for your arm wrestling club and community so that you can get more people on the table partaking in your events, but growing that club that you are in. Grant Law, thanks so much for joining us.
No problem, Dave. It's great to be back on again, and we could talk about marketing arm wrestling till the cows come home. There's such a lot we can do and such a lot we can focus on.
And so when you look at the sport objectively, I mean, now you're a massive fan. You obviously you're taking in many of the pay-per-views. I've heard you in the comments on occasions critique what it is that some of the biggest promotions in the world are doing well, and maybe some of the things they're not doing so well. So what comes to mind when you think of, say, East versus West? What comes to mind immediately? What do you think they do really well when it comes to marketing, and what could they do better, for instance?
Yeah, and again, as a follow-up to what we said, we can't be too critical of other organizations. I think people are doing a great job, and like yourself, Dave, probably putting in a hell of a lot more than they're getting out. I think
we'll get to AWE. You can critique us as well. So
no. Well, I think it's all much about muchness. I think I'll go back to what got me interested. As I said, I'd been following arm wrestling for a couple of years before I took the plunge and actually joined a club and got involved. But I remember one of the, other than Devin Larratt, general sort of videos, I remember one particular match, and it was between Devin Larratt and I think it was Andrei Pushkar, God rest his soul, and who I think at the time, Devin was quite dominant. And I remember watching this video where Andre was just like giving it his absolute all, and Devin was just looking at him and just very casually and slowly shaking his head from left to right as if to say, you have absolutely no chance. And I thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen in sport. It was the way that they did it was just absolutely phenomenal. And of course, he does a lot of things like that, and I think it's stuff like that when I show mates the sport, I send videos to people. I've got a bunch of guys that are coming to the next event who are non-arm wrestlers, and I'm sending them propaganda videos. I think that's really what it boils down to. So that when they arrive there, they actually know who the guys are and they know some of the the rivalries and stuff like that. But I'm also just sending them those kind of cool videos that I think, these guys are, some of them are into sort of strength sports, some are not. I think they just want to be entertained. And I think maybe to answer your question, some of the entertainment factor is maybe not focused on enough. If we get really close in with people's faces and when they're chirping at each other and goading each other and what have you, I think that's probably quite appealing to the mainstream. And so I think that the big arm wrestling tournaments, perhaps rightly so, are targeted at existing followers. We're preaching to the converted, and that always must, of course, be the first and foremost the priority. But I wonder, in terms of creating, highlighting the characters that are in the sport, maybe we need to focus a little bit more on the the nonsense outside of the actual, before the ref says ready, go.
So, do you like the do you like it when you've got, say, Eddie Hall and Brian Shaw? Is that something that you think is a positive step in the right direction because of the entertainment value?
Yeah, look, I think, look, okay, first and
Is
foremost,
that part
as
of the
arm
answer?
wrestlers, we've got to maintain the integrity of the sport. It can't turn into a circus.
Hmm.
But if you look at the match between Eddie and Brian, that wasn't a great advert for arm wrestling as a, from a pure sports perspective. Neither of them had great technique. Neither of them, you could say, were able to leverage each other's weaknesses. Although they both had extensive training, they never really applied it during the match. So there was nothing clever that you could really say, hey, that was great to watch. It was really the banter between the two of them before, during, and after the match that made it so much better to watch. Um,
Mm.
I guess it's not like boxing where you can have a lot of trash talk before the event that's really entertaining and have a crap boxing match because it goes on for a long time. You've got 8, 10 rounds, 15 rounds, 12 rounds, whatever it is. It's hard to ignore all that duration of something that's not appealing to watch. But even watching Eddie and Brian, the fact they're both trying so hard and sweating and veins popping out their heads, that was entertainment. And I think
Mm.
obviously AWE is arm wrestling entertainment. I think you guys have got hit the nail on the head that we've got to entertain in a very cluttered market.
Mm. And really trying to anger England here. What's East versus West doing right with that? Because like I watch East versus West, and I think for the most part it's a snore fest. You got big, long, deep cards. It's a marathon.
Mm.
It's really, I guess when you've got a pay-per-view event, you paid your money. You're not really competing against you. Uh, the same level of distraction as you might if you're on free-to-air TV. You're not competing against the remote like you do there. But I I just I think that there's the numbers of people that are going to hang in there and watch a full event like that are not huge, and I
No,
think it doesn't take too many dud cards for that number to dwindle substantially.
yeah.
Do you like those deep cards? Do you like seeing, would you sit through those
No.
10, 15 deep cards, and those 14, 15 minute setups that lead to a slip, that go to
Mm.
straps, that lead in between? There's a 3 minute rest. But now, is that now, purists will say that's arm wrestling, and that's what I'm paying my money for. But is that something that you think is healthy for the sport? Is this something that's good for the presentation of the sport?
Well, look, it's not healthy to attract new viewers, no. And I think that maybe the thing that they need to do more of, and that maybe we all need to do more of, is creating sort of shorter snippets of the action that can run as shorts that capture those moments that maybe help to educate and inform a market. But as a fan of arm wrestling, I don't watch the whole card, absolutely not. But then I don't watch the whole UFC card either.
Mhm.
If I'm watching, Dricus du Plessis, that's what I watch. I couldn't care about the two, 50 kilogram, featherweights, unless they're really big names and the match is being hyped up. So I would come and go whatever throughout the day as the undercard is proceeding, and the same with boxing. I love my boxing, but invariably, you watch the main bout. So I think nothing's different there. But I think what they need to do then with these big long matches is make sure that we have tons and tons of reels and little bits capturing all of the edited highlights.
And that is something that East versus West do very well. Like
Yeah.
they're getting out post event. They're now getting that content out there for free onto YouTube pretty quickly, certainly much more quickly than they once did. And you are starting to see them those highlights proliferate through the socials on Instagram, and not only that, you're just getting the fans who are quickly jumping on there. Those content creators that are just snatching some of that footage anyway, and then just
Mm.
pumping out that back into the ecosystem, as highly newsworthy, highly topical pieces of content that are really slickly edited with a little twist, depending on whoever that content creator is. So
Mm.
so that is something the team there are doing quite well. And when you look around, who stands out to you as in promotion wise? Who's standing out to you as doing a really good job in tying certain elements to their pre-event coverage, the event, and then what they're doing afterwards?
Well, look, I mean, you can't really go past Devin Larratt for that, obviously. Although he's not a competitor, I really love the work that Coach Ray puts into covering events. I think there's a lot of educational stuff. There's a lot of funny stuff, and he talks from experience. He is a bit of an authority. Neil Pickup, obviously, as well. His coverage is pretty good, and he puts a lot of effort into it. So I think there's probably more athletes probably need to be doing more. As we discussed the other day, there's a lot of top athletes with very, very humble Instagram and Facebook followings out there, and it's I don't know, some you can't force people to do social media, but to our discussion earlier, I think athletes have got to be doing as much as they can themselves. It's worked so well for Devin Larratt. Post continually. I mean, not everyone has a career in arm wrestling, but if you look at even stuff like Alison Moratov, who posts content where there's no speaking involved, he just shows exercises, and he just does that thing with his arm and points to his. I've saved all of those reels and I follow them. I turn them into training regimens. So you don't even need to have the gift of the gab or have a bit of banter or whatever. Just create content. Just show who you are and what you're about. To watch Alajan lifting up a tire and stuff like that. That is just, I've sent that to all my mates because he's lifting up a bloody tire, weighed 106 kilograms with one hand. One of these big tractor tire things. I mean, you've got the strong men trying to flip it, and he's curling it, And so I send that to my mates, and they're freaking out. These are the crew that's getting the brainwashing. So that's the stuff that they go into that with, because I guarantee you were the same. I was the same. When I rocked up my first session at arm wrestling, I thought I'd do a hell of a lot better than I did.
That's right. I thought I was going to be a world champ in 6 months, but
that's it. Yeah, I've got this nailed.
That was the end of that dream.
Yeah, that lasted about 10 minutes. So, and I was nearly off into a corner, just rocking back and forth, going, my whole life has been a lie. I thought it was reasonably strong. And so, so educating people on that, I was with a mate on Saturday night, and he's quite a big guy. He was telling me he benches, he's my age, he's early 50s. He says he benches 150, 160. So he's no weakling. But I guarantee you that he would think he'd do pretty well. And then he'll go up against someone half his body weight and just be humbled. So showing them this kind of stuff, showing them that, this Alazan, for example, who weighs less than he does, built very much the same, but he is an arm wrestler. He's been training those movements, training those tendons for years, and he will absolutely destroy you, and you cannot fathom his strength. We've got to contextualize that,
So if you're a PR marketing guy, I'm going to ask you the question, and we'll see if we can get some free advice out there. One of the big things we get with athletes is they say, "Look, I'm a bit shy on camera. I don't want to, be that guy." One, how regularly should an athlete be posting if they want to build up their profile on social media? So what do they need to be posting? What's the mix between stories, reels, and other posts? To what extent should they be sharing other people's content or seeking to collaborate with other people? And if they're shy or they don't have that confidence yet to be presenting to camera, like a Devin Larratt or a Ryan Bowen, what are some of the strategies that they can use so that they can still develop that profile and confidence over time without having to have that pressure of being on camera and experiencing maybe the nerves or hesitations that come with that?
Look, I don't think there's a magic formula that says you must post X number of times a day. I think arm wrestlers should be looking at, the shy ones anyway, should be looking at quality over quantity in the first instance. So if you don't want to do a Devin Larratt and just lie in your bed and just share your views on the world and what's going to happen, that's fair enough. But try and capture exciting training. Get someone when you're next at your club or when you're training, just to capture you training, maybe lifting big weights, doing like an Alajan. So you don't have to talk. You just show people, how he puts the strap over the knuckle and demonstrate what that does. I mean, that doesn't take an awful lot of personality. I think any arm wrestler that wants to make it big in the sport needs to overcome that shyness, and there's obviously many ways they can do that. I think we both know that promoters will pick athletes based on how well they can help to promote the sport. And I think that's the same in any sport. I mean, that's how certain boxers who keep getting their arses whipped at every fight still get fights, and it's because of the value that they add to the promotion. So my advice for any athlete looking to make it big in arm wrestling, if you have the talent but you're a bit on the shy side, just work on it. I think the more you do, the more confidence that you'll get, and maybe speak to a local social media expert, or maybe you got a mate who can give you some advice or help you do it. But I think it's an investment well worth making.
I'll share just some quick tips and back that up with some information here. So the AWE Instagram page, that's one that I manage. We've got about 2,053 followers as of right now. There's been 402 posts over the last 2 or 3 years. What we have done over the last month or so is every day that we've had a podcast, we have created a poster in stories. So we've taken an image of whoever it is that might be on our podcast, and Grant, there'll be another one of you going on there very, very soon. I make that in stories because it's super easy to do, and I find like you don't have to be a graphic designer. I keep the graphics fairly similar each and every time, so I don't have to think too much about it. It takes me about 90 seconds to make that story. I then save that story, then make it a post, and I'll do a little intro on that, and then I will share I'll just go to the feed in the account, and I will share videos that or reels or whatever posts that might be up there that I just think are congruent or in alignment with AWE. And these are often from other promotions. It might be Arm Gods, it might be Pro Punja, it could just be a really interesting training video, a Mazahir or Ryan Bowen. It could be one of our athletes like Josh Barker just doing an arm curl. It could be anything, for instance. So but it could be gym memes. It's just something that I just think is funny, and that arm wrestlers would also think is funny. So that is it. That is all that's going on there. That takes me maybe 6 or 7 minutes a morning to do. Now, that page has been floating between 30 and 40,000 people view, or 30 to 40,000 views over the last 30 days, quite consistently since Christmas. And with that formula, I'll just show that on camera now, so you can see that's what's going on. So there's only 2,000 people. There's 4,000 now. What this means for anybody that's seeking to get support, whether it's a sponsor or just somebody actively involved, it is that easy. You can now show a sponsor. You're getting 33,600 views of your Instagram page a month, and it's taking you 7 minutes a day in order to do that. So that is just a simple, straightforward formula for anybody to follow that takes, like I say, 7 minutes a day. It's not even the best strategy in the world. It is just all that I've got time for. And so if you're a time poor athlete that's just trying to build your relevancy in the arm wrestling world, then there's a really simple formula for you to pick up on and utilize. And if you want deeper strategies, often it's just best achieved through observance. And if you look at people like Ryan Bowen and what they're doing, Devin Larratt is another example. But you can see what the best guys are doing. And here's the other thing. What I would say is, if you see an athlete that's doing what you'd like to do, reach out to them and ask them what they're doing. If you're seeing what's happening and it's working, you will find that these athletes are just happy to share. They're happy to
Yeah.
tell you. They want you to succeed. They know if you're succeeding, the high tide floats all boats. They're going to succeed as well.
Yeah, look, and I think the psychology of it is, and to use Ryan Bowen as an example, and as you said earlier on, people either love or hate Ryan Bowen, and that's really irrelevant. The thing that Ryan Bowen does extremely well is just he muscled his way onto the international arm wrestling circuit without an invitation. No one invited Ryan Bowen to be one of the biggest names in arm wrestling. He went out there and told everyone that he is. So he started, talking about the company that he keeps, and people said, "Oh, he's delusional." Or Ryan in a one of these videos was talking about how he, what he would do, if he ever had to face Levan, and of course, that is all. People think, well, that's just being delusional, but he's not. It's part of the psychology of it. He believes in himself, and you're not going to get an invite into those circles. And so all of the international experience that Ryan has obviously it's been on some merit. I mean, he is a powerful puller, but he is just from day one. He has basically said, "This I want to be up in the top. I want to pull so and so, the champion of here, there, and everywhere." He wasn't invited to do that. It wasn't like a golden ticket that he won in a raffle. He just told everyone that's what he wants to do, and he did it. And it's a very simple example of what can be achieved if you just go out there and stake your claim. Don't wait for it to be recognized as this or that. Go and tell people what your goals and objectives are and where you think you can be and what you think you can do. And people will follow you because people love ambition. They love to hear that. Geez, he's sticking his neck out. Go over it. Good on him. Go for it. What's the worst that can happen? You lose.
Yeah, that's right.
Come back the next match and you win. I mean, Ryan, the whole match with Khalid, even though Khalid was obviously fatigued and people knew that he would obviously be fatigued, but no one was expecting Ryan to win. And he comes on and beats Khalid, who has a massive amount of endurance and stuff. So you had those matches where people went, "Oh, actually, she must be bloody strong," And of course, then you have other matches where you lose, but he's still in there. After a match, he doesn't disappear into a cave. He gets straight back on social media and starts talking about, right, I knew what I'd done wrong there. This is how I'm going to train. My next target is so and so, and this is how I'm going to beat him. And I just can't see this guy ever beating me. Stuff
Ryan's
like
fond of saying he's one of the few athletes in the world who will lose and get a better opportunity next time.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's simply, just believe in yourself and stake your claim.
Well, we're at the 22-minute mark, so I'm just going to quickly run through the comments just quick. Never miss a comment on Restream. No, we do not want to do that. Hello, Dave and Dad from French McGee at the SA Titans. We've got Hollywood Matt Connolly has dropped in. We won't tell the boss. Hello. So he's obviously found a quiet nook there and just snuck away just to send us a little message. I'm sure he's watching and listening in intently, wishing he was here with us all. Happy birthday, Grant, from Sam. Very kind of him.
Yeah.
Every day's Grant's birthday, as you might well be finding out now, especially if you watched the other night. Cole Davison, please don't box anyone on your birthday, Grant. Of course, the birthday jokes just keep on coming. Lazia. Exactly. Just show yourself. You don't need to act at all. And there's some great advice. I think if you're being genuine and you're just being yourself, win, lose or draw, happy or sad, whatever it might be, but you're willing to confront the moment, you're going to capture that. I think that's what people buy into. You don't have to be the most charismatic person in the world. Just be your genuine self, and you find that is more than enough. And another comment here, it makes me sad that someone like Sumashia doesn't do any content at all. So it is so true, isn't it? Sometimes you find out about an athlete, or you want to check them out more, and you jump online. It's like the last time they posted was in June 2022, and you think, why? Why is that the case? Well, it can't be helping their career prospects, that's for sure.
No, that's it. Look, I think, in terms of, at the very least, just show some strength feats, show yourself training. Obviously, we know that there's some really unique arm wrestling movements, like we discussed with Alizan doing, and putting the strap over his knuckles, stuff like that. People have never seen stuff like that before, and so just to contextualize that arm wrestling strength, that's an easy one. I remember many years ago, Dave. I don't know if you're a rugby union fan, but you must remember Jonah Lomu, the New Zealand.
Yep.
So during the 1995 World Cup, I was involved in the sort of PR for some of that for the at the time, and one of the things that we did was to contextualize the power that Jonah Lomu had, and there was some statistical analysis which showed that when Jonah Lomu is at full flight, so he's running down the wing with a ball, and you've all seen him, and he's pushing people left, right, and center, but the force and momentum that he carries, there was an analogy in the paper that was equivalent of trying to stop a Toyota Corolla or a similar little sedan going at 40 k's an hour, and so people immediately just understand. They go, geez, that's the force that he was generating, was the equivalent of a 1.2 ton car going at 40 k's an hour, whatever the analogy was. But that just, all of a sudden, people just started losing their minds about Jonah Lomu and how strong he was. Before that, he just looked strong. But people say, why aren't you tackling him? Well, you try and tackle a Toyota Corolla. So I think from an arm wrestling perspective, show those lifts, show the pronation lifts. Again, speaking to mates, and they have no idea how hard it is, and you can't really lift a hell of a lot of weight off your knuckle. You might be able to hammer curl 50 kilograms. You're not going to lift 50 kilograms off your knuckle as a beginner. No way in hell. Even elite athletes battle with that. But of course, no one's ever tried that, so they don't know. So it gets people questioning it, and they go, all right, next time I'm in a gym, I'm gonna try that. Certainly the first time I tried it, I thought, Craig, I thought that would be a lot easier than what it was. But of course, your whole hand just buckles back because it's not supporting. It's not used to supporting that much weight. So stuff like that, that's the very least you can do, is just to help educate the world about arm wrestling, about the training that we do. When you're in a training session, get someone to film you. Get someone to film you showing a newcomer, about arm wrestling, teaching them the top roll or the hook or whatever. There's always a lot you can do without having to have the big Devin Larratt, bit larger than life personality.
Yeah, love all of that. All really good advice. That's all stuff that anybody can do. It's free. We've never lived in a time where every person on the planet essentially now can be their own news service. They can be sharing their story about what it is that they're doing. They've got the technology in their pocket in order to do that, and all of the tools are basically in the app now, whether it's Instagram or TikTok. And the reason for that, of course, is because these platforms want more high quality content. They actually want you to do this. There's no gatekeeper. The only gatekeeper is you. And so our ardent suggestion to anybody who's running a club or any athlete that just wants to make their mark on the arm wrestling world is to just get out that phone and start recording some of your content. Get some regular posting going on. It just needs to be a post a day. Share some stories. Share some of your journey. Share some of what's going on in the community. Have an opinion on what's going on. The chances are, if you love arm wrestling like Grant, you've got some insights and some ideas and some opinions on what's going on in the sport, and to just share them with the world is just going to help as well. So there's so many ways that you can do it, but we just want to reiterate the point that most of the promotions in the world aren't making much money. And I say this with all due respect to the big promotions in the world. They're not making a lot of money. They're struggling to pay the bills. What they go for aren't the best arm wrestlers. They do get the best arm wrestlers in the world, of course, but they're not always looking for the best arm wrestlers in the world. What they're looking for are those people that can draw attention to their promotion, because the more attention that the promotion is able to secure, the easier it is for them to leverage that attention to attract sponsorship dollars, to make the promotion bigger and better, reinvest in the athletes, and ultimately the more that that happens, the more the athletes will get paid in the fullness of time. So we just want to encourage you, don't wait for the promoter to come knocking to give you the opportunity. Create that opportunity by creating content and start sharing your story with the world.
That's it. And it's at club level. One of the things I'm going to be doing a bit more of, something I've been thinking about a lot. If you look at the best performing videos on YouTube, or amongst the best performing videos, we know the reaction videos, and they're all, just not necessarily something new, but someone reacting to something. It sort of, it sparks human curiosity that we see how someone responded to something. And one of the things that I think we do really well in arm wrestling, and just to go back to that whole trash talk kind of vibe, we see it in every club, probably every single training session, where someone has got the better of someone else, and they've got the person in this sort of winning position. The other person is battling away, and that person in the winning position is just that cold stare, just looking, at the other person who might not even be returning the gaze, but just sort of staring at them as if to say, geez, I'm strong. And I find that as funny as hell. And I think if we capture some of that, those kind of reactions that you get, is a good Scots word is gallus. It's when you get a little bit gallus, you're a bit full of yourself and stuff. And we know it's all done in jest in an arm wrestling scene, but you see that every single training session is just someone just holding the other person where they can't move, and they're just staring at them as if to say, is that all you got? Stuff like that. If you capture little bits like that, that's the stuff that gets shared, because people, it's like cringe comedy. The jokes aren't necessarily funny, but it's cringy, and people go, I haven't seen that before. Who's this arrogant guy, or woman doing this? So it's something I've put on my list to do, is capture more of that at Titans and just see how that goes. And
I love that.
Yeah, challenge other clubs, give it a go as well. If you guys are watching this, let's see where we get with it. I mean, we all know that arm wrestling is winning and losing and pulling and stuff, but let's capture the other fun stuff around it.
It's funny you mentioned the review videos, because I recently was just stumbling across my YouTube feed, and something had come up with about, and I think this might be because on several occasions recently we'd spoken around the office, or we've been talking about Afrikaners, and what might have been in even discussions with you, or having Terence on, or speaking talking to Rickard, and so and then of course YouTube's always listening, and I got a video suggestion pop up about Orania, which is a little, almost like a little colony that the Afrikaners have made in the middle of the desert, and there's about 3,000 people living there. Fastest growing township in South Africa, apparently, and they have their own kind of currency, their own way of life. They're preserving Afrikaner culture, and you'd imagine that might be somewhat controversial in South Africa, but it doesn't seem to be as controversial as you think. But I watched a video on it, and it was a Black American YouTuber who went over there to experience it, and so he goes on the tour. Then the next one is pops up in the suggestions. It's another African guy from Africa, a Black African guy from a different country. He goes there to go and check it out, and then you've got and then I'm watching all of a sudden the review, and I thought, I wonder what a Black South African person might think about this, and that's what pops up, and it's this Black South African woman talking about it, and her thoughts and her views, and it was just really interesting. And before you know it, you're down the rabbit hole. But those review videos are just a fantastic way. And I just thought, when you mentioned that, the person that made that initial video, it would have taken them weeks of editing. It was really cinematic. You could see there was a significant investment. They had to fly to South Africa. They had to, they got the drone footage out. They took a lot of the footage themselves, but it was beautiful. They would have spent a week or two there. They certainly spent 9 hours on a bus to get there and 9 hours to get back, and all of that type of thing. It was a huge investment in time and money for them to do that. But by the time I've gotten around to like the fourth or fifth video on the subject, it's just a woman in her bedroom having a bit of a whinge about it, But that video had as many views as that original piece of wonderful, beautiful cinematic content. And so the reality is that you can be the first, you can make the content, you can whatever, or you can just jump on and have an opinion about it, and it's just going to be as effective in terms of its reach and ability of making you a key person of influence in the arm wrestling world. So there's some really good tips for anybody who's out there, promoters, athletes, those people involved in clubs and community. And we hope there's some significant takeaways from today's podcast that you can really implement on a really practical level that's going to help you develop your profile in sport. So thank you very much again for joining us, Grant. Grant, you did join us with the promise of talking to Terence Opperman, but he's going to be with us on Thursday. Hello. If you wait long enough, there we go. There we go. Just in time for the tie-up. Just in time for the double bicep. My good lordiness. There we go. A very, very special guest, Hollywood Matt Connolly. So just coming in on the end, you mightn't have known, but Terence was having some technical difficulties, so wasn't able to join us. I called upon Grant as our resident Afrikaner translator. He was going to assist us in the event that there was any assistance required, but really just was hanging out with us. So and because of the whole kerfuffle at Terence's end, we've just been talking about marketing again and giving some helpful hints and tips to the arm wrestling world about what they can do to advance themselves in the sport.
Hey, absolutely. I was watching it on my drive home from work. So, yes, very good. Terence, Grant does a great Terence Opperman impression.
Oh, do I now?
And a Neil Pickup impression as well.
Yeah, it's actually true.
It's a really good Neil Pickup impression. If Neil was in the comments, I don't think he has been tonight. Let me just double check. Maybe he's just watching voyeuristically. But yeah, it would be nice to maybe we can whip that out before we go away.
Yeah, I don't want to be sued. Apparently, he said, what did he say? He said I sounded like someone from Manchester or somewhere.
Yeah, he said it was a bit
Geordie, yeah, which is a bit of a departure there.
Yeah. And where is he from? Is he from Birmingham?
No, I think he's somewhere in the Midlands somewhere, but I think it's closer to the East Coast, outside Manchester, or somewhere like that. But he's definitely not from Newcastle. He's definitely not a Geordie.
No, okay.
No. Well, I'm not even sure where Terence Opperman is from. I think he's from Greater Joburg or Pretoria, something like that.
I think he's from Birmingham as well.
Is he also Geordie? Yeah.
He's from everywhere.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, Grant just naturally has has Sean Connery impression just always. So,
stop! You're embarrassing me.
You shizzling sexy piece of wash. I don't suppose there's any chance of a sausage sandwich with sauce. Suspect is heading south on Mississippi carrying a super soaker.
Yeah, I think he said, why am I always scripted with 6 or 7 S's in every sentence?
Heading off on Mississippi.
Well, I'm going to drop off. You guys can continue. Should you so be?
No, that's all right. I just thought I'd jump in.
So good. You got your fix of Hollywood Matt Connolly. Of course, Hollywood. I'm guessing you will be still going live on Hollywood Matt Connolly live this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have to schedule it in, but I always get one in every week.
It's going to sneak one in. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't already subscribe to that young man's channel. Make sure that you're getting everything that he's putting out there. And to all the good people that are in the comments, as always, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We love you, and we'll be bringing you more arm wrestling tomorrow night. Now, tomorrow night, we've got Rickard Borman and Brett Coots, who were promised you on Monday, but they will be with us tomorrow night. And then rolling forward to Thursday, we hope that Terence will have his mic issue sorted out. He assures us he'll be jumping on the laptop and coming to us live. So we can't wait.
Brett and Rickard may look like Grant Lork, though.
Just yeah. If you
I
do
get
see
that a
Grant
lot.
back,
I
you'll
get that a lot.
know that you know what happened. So
Yeah. Sometimes I just sign the
and
autograph. I just say, yeah, it's me, Brett. What do you do?
and
You can't let
Grant,
kids
thanks
down,
again
you know?
for joining us on your birthday. We certainly appreciate it. We know it's must be birthday candles blow out there in the background. The family would have been waiting, so we'll
Yeah.
let you go. We know that you're preparing right now for the Titans Open taking place on the 23rd of March as part of the AWE event here in Adelaide. That is a competition that is open to all amateurs from around the country and around the world. So if you do want to join in on the action, then certainly reach out to Hollywood Matt Connolly. Let it be known, and we'll make sure that you are on the list and ready to go. We want to thank everybody at the SA Titans for their wonderful support of the AWE event. And again, thank you, Grant Law, for joining us on the podcast again. And we'll see you all tomorrow night.